Seoul never truly slept. It only pretended to, dimming its lights just enough for secrets to breathe. If this story touched you, like, share, and subscribe. Let the melody continue. At 2:17 a.m., the red recording light blinked on inside a high-rise apartment overlooking the Han River. The city below shimmered in fractured reflections, broken by drifting fog and the distant glow of passing cars. Inside, a man sat alone. His name was Lian Cheng. To millions, he was more than a man. He was the face that had taught them how to love in silence. The actor who had cried without speaking. The singer whose voice had lingered in the quiet spaces between heartbeats. But tonight, there were no cameras except the one he had turned on himself. The tripod stood unevenly on the hardwood floor, angled slightly upward. The lens captured him from the waist up, framed by a wall of glass and the sleeping city behind him. He didn't move for a long time. He simply stared into the lens, as if memorizing it. His dark hair fell slightly over his eyes, and the faint shadow beneath them revealed nights without rest. His white shirt was wrinkled, the sleeves rolled halfway to his elbows, exposing trembling hands that refused to stay still. On the small table beside him sat three things: a glass of untouched water, a sealed envelope, and his phone, screen dark. The only sound in the apartment was the faint hum of the refrigerator and the quiet, uneven rhythm of his breathing. He inhaled slowly, exhaled. Then finally he spoke. "If you're watching this, it means I didn't find another way."
His voice was calm. Too calm.
Not the voice fans knew from interviews, where he laughed easily and spoke with gentle warmth. This voice carried weight. Finality. He paused, glancing briefly toward the window, as if expecting someone to appear there. No one did. "I don't know where to begin," he continued softly. "Actors spend their lives pretending, smiling when they're breaking, saying words someone else wrote, living lives that aren't theirs." He swallowed. "But these words are mine." The red light reflected faintly in his eyes. Outside, a siren passed somewhere far below. He didn't react. For a moment, he looked almost peaceful. And that was what made it frightening. Because Lian Cheng had never looked peaceful in real life. Not truly. There had always been movement in him. Restless energy, quiet tension beneath the calm surface. But tonight, that movement was gone. Replaced by stillness. The kind of stillness that comes when a decision has already been made. He had been wearing a black coat and a baseball cap pulled low over his face. He had smiled politely, as always. "Long day?" the guard had asked. Lian Cheng hesitated before answering. "Yes," he said. Then, after a pause, he added quietly, "A very long day." He had taken the elevator to the 32nd floor. He had not come back down. "If I disappear," he said, barely above a whisper, "people will ask why." His fingers tightened together. "They'll say it was stress. Or loneliness. Or rumors." He shook his head slowly. "It wasn't just that." He looked directly into the lens. "And I don't want the truth to disappear with me." The words hung in the air, fragile and irreversible. He reached toward the table and picked up the sealed envelope, holding it carefully, like something fragile. His thumb traced the edge of it. He didn't open it. Not yet. Instead, he placed it back down. "There are things I should have said sooner," he murmured. He laughed faintly, though there was no humor in it. "I kept thinking I had more time." Silence filled the room again. He glanced toward his phone. Still dark. Still silent. Waiting. Always waiting. He leaned back in the chair, staring up at the ceiling. For years, he had lived beneath lights. Studio lights. Stage lights. Flashbulbs. Lights that erased shadows and replaced them with illusion. But shadows never disappeared. They only waited. And, tonight, they had finally caught up. The apartment had been louder then. Friends had filled the room, laughing, drinking, celebrating. Someone had opened the windows, letting the cold air rush inside. "You did it," his manager had said, gripping his shoulder proudly. "You're officially untouchable now." Untouchable. The word had sounded comforting.
Permanent.
Safe. He had believed it. He had believed many things back then. He had believed success protected people. He had believed truth always surfaced. He had believed loyalty meant something. He had been wrong. The red light blinked steadily, counting seconds that could never be taken back. Lian Cheng rubbed his hands together slowly. "I'm afraid," he admitted. The words came out fragile. Honest. Not the words of a celebrity. The words of a man. "I've been afraid for a long time." His eyes glistened slightly, though no tears fell. He wasn't crying. He looked past that point, past grief, past fear, into something quieter. Acceptance. He leaned forward again. "If anything happens to me," he said carefully, "I need people to know I didn't stop fighting." His jaw tightened. "I tried." Outside, the wind pressed faintly against the glass. The camera captured everything. The trembling of his fingers. The faint rise and fall of his chest. The way he hesitated before every sentence, as if weighing whether the truth was worth its cost. He closed his eyes briefly, and in that moment, he looked impossibly young. Not the confident actor the world admired. Just a tired man sitting alone at night. The sound shattered the silence. He froze. Slowly, he turned his head toward it. The screen lit up, illuminating his face with pale blue light. An unknown number. No name. No message. Just a call. He stared at it. The vibration stopped. Silence returned. He didn't move. 5 seconds passed. 10. Then the phone vibrated again. The same number. His breathing grew shallow. He reached toward it. And stopped. His hand hovered inches above the screen. He knew that number. Not because he recognized it, but because he had been expecting it. For days. For weeks. Maybe longer. The vibration stopped again. The screen went dark. He slowly pulled his hand back. He did not answer. Instead, he turned back toward the camera. "They know," he whispered. The words were barely audible. His composure cracked for the first time. Not completely, but enough. "They know I haven't stayed quiet." He swallowed hard. "And they won't forgive that." The room seemed smaller now. The air heavier. Every sound sharper. Even his breathing sounded too loud. He reached for the glass of water, lifting it halfway. His hand shook so badly, he had to set it down again. He laughed softly at himself. "I used to think fear looked dramatic," he said. He shook his head faintly. "It doesn't." He glanced at the door. Locked. Still. Silent. He leaned closer to the camera, his voice dropping to a whisper. "If this video is ever seen," he hesitated, "it means someone chose not to erase it." The weight of those words lingered, because he knew how easily things disappeared. Messages deleted. Files corrupted. Stories rewritten. People forgotten. He stared into the lens as if trying to look through it, through time itself, toward whoever might one day watch. "I hope you understand," he said. Not pleading. Not apologizing. Just hoping. Then he reached forward, and the camera shook slightly as his fingers brushed the lens. The red light flickered, but the recording did not stop. It kept watching. It kept listening. And somewhere deep in the sleeping city, something had already begun to move. The morning sun hadn't yet risen when Min Seo-jin, Lian Cheng's closest friend and manager, arrived at the apartment. Her heels clicked softly on the marble floor of the lobby, echoing faintly in the silent building. Something had felled off last night, a text left unanswered, a call that never came. The kind of instinct that nagged at you even when you tried to ignore it. She pressed the elevator button again, though she had already gone up and down 3 times in her mind. The doors opened with a quiet sigh, revealing the dimly lit hallway. On the 32nd floor, Lian Cheng's door was ajar, just slightly. Enough that the soft light from the living room spilled into the hallway, pale and uncertain. "Lian," she called softly. Her voice trembled. She hated how it trembled. She had always been strong for him, the one who held him steady, but today felt different. No answer. She stepped inside, heart pounding, eyes scanning the familiar apartment. Nothing seemed out of place. Not the awards on the shelf. Not the photographs of film premieres and fan meetings. Not even the coffee cup left on the counter from the night before. Then she saw the camera. The red light blinking steadily on the tripod made her stomach tighten. She approached slowly, her hands trembling as she pressed stop on the recording. "Lian," she whispered, her voice breaking. What happened last night?" Her gaze fell on the sealed envelope on the table. The one he had picked up in the video. With a mixture of fear and curiosity, she opened it. Inside were several sheets of paper.
Handwritten.
His handwriting, precise, yet shaky in places. They were letters addressed to people she recognized instantly. Actors, directors, close friends, names she hadn't heard Lian Cheng mention in years. Each letter was short, yet packed with emotion. Apologies, confessions, regrets, and warnings.
She froze.
Some letters were addressed to people who could destroy careers if the wrong words were revealed. Others were simply confessions, personal truths Lian Cheng had carried in silence. Min Seo-jin's fingers trembled as she read the final letter. It wasn't addressed to anyone. It was a reflection. "I am not afraid of the end," it began. "I am afraid of being forgotten, of my silence being mistaken for cowardice. I leave this not for fame, or attention, or pity, but because the truth deserves a witness." Her eyes blurred with tears. She didn't understand everything he had written, but she understood enough. Someone had been watching him. Someone had been pressuring him. Someone who wanted to control his every move, every word. And he had tried to protect them, protect everyone, by carrying it alone. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Ji-hoon, a rising filmmaker and Lian Cheng's longtime collaborator, sat at his editing desk. His phone vibrated with a notification, a message from Min Seo-jin. "You need to come to the apartment.
Now.
Bring everything, tapes, emails, anything that might be connected." Ji-hoon's heart raced. Something was wrong, he could feel it. The last script meeting had been tense, yes, but nothing that would explain this. He grabbed his laptop, hard drives, and a stack of memory cards. Every conversation, every recording session, everything they had ever done together, he brought with him. Every frame might contain a clue. As he arrived, the city was waking slowly, unaware of the storm unfolding above the Han River. The sun's first rays reflected off the glass of the apartment, glinting against the red camera light, now stopped. Min Seo-jin met him at the door, eyes wide and pale. He recorded himself last night," she said, her voice trembling. "And these letters, I don't know what to do." He took the envelope, leafing through the letters. Every name made him pause. Every confession felt like a loaded gun waiting to fire. "Someone pushed him too far," he muttered. "Someone wanted him scared. Someone wanted him silent." Min Seo-jin shook her head. "We can't let this disappear. Not like the others. He trusted us. We have to make sure the world sees this. The truth, even if it hurts." Ji-hoon looked at her, conflicted. If we release this, they could ruin lives, careers, relationships, even people who had nothing to do with it. She swallowed, a lump in her throat. "And if we don't, it might disappear with him. Do you want that? After everything?" The weight of her words sank into Ji-hoon. He knew she was right. They stood together in the apartment, surrounded by remnants of Lian Cheng's life. The camera, the letters, the faint scent of coffee, the silence of a man who had tried to tell the world his story, only to be cut off before it was heard. Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the truths that had just been uncovered inside. Inside, the red light of the camera blinked faintly, as if waiting, watching, patient. Because the story had only just begun. Don't forget to subscribe for more insider stories, trending moments, and viral breakdowns.